That, yeah, I think that will hopefully, I think, Dan, is it worth quickly mentioning the assessment while we've got everyone here as well, do you think?
Yeah, hopefully most people saw the post I put yesterday on the Central Plaza, but I know at least some people didn't. So we've had a few questions come in about the assessment. The main thing I'd say initially is we haven't written it yet, so I can't tell you too much because it's still sort of in our heads. What the general information I can say is that please don't worry about it. I would stress this isn't a completely optional assessment. So this is a bit different to previous years. For all the previous HSMAs, you had to take, if you wanted to do a project, you had to take a Python assessment, which we kept pretty light touch. Um, but it was just to sort of demonstrate that you had enough skills to be able to do the project. That's all gone now, so you can completely ignore the assessment if you so wish, and still do a project and 100 projects, and you don't ever have to worry about it. The assessment is only there if you want a digital certificate, and I can't remember, do you get a badge or something? Not like a Blue Peter badge. I mean, like a digital badge. I think that you can put on your emails. There's something like that. Anyway, you get a little certificate saying, "Hey, I did HSMA." That doesn't. That's completely optional. It's not. It's separate to the AFA accreditation. So AFA accredit the course. That whether you take that assessment or not, it doesn't change the fact you are on a course that is quality assured by AFA. But we can provide you with a certificate. But you do, in order to do that, you have to pass an assessment. The assessment will be light touch. You can retake it if you fail. We run them every time you do an HSMA round. You could take it again. It doesn't matter. It will be light touch. It will not. It will only be as long as it needs to be. Um, and the crucial thing to say is that you do not need to be an expert in everything. So uh, the way it will likely work is that there will be a question or two on kind of core Python stuff. The kind of stuff we covered in module one in the sort of intro to coding stuff to make sure that you've got that sort of basic grasp of all the things that underpin virtually everything else that we teach. And then what we're likely going to be doing is giving you a choice of questions from all the other modules. So you can then pick one or two questions if you decide actually your skills lie more in discrete event simulation and web apps. You can ignore machine learning entirely and everything else. That's fine. You're not supposed to be an expert in everything. None of us are within the research team, which is why I don't teach the whole thing. Sammy doesn't teach the whole thing. None of us in Pencold can do everything that we teach on the course. And so it would be completely unreasonable to expect you to do that. You get a sense about the things that you kind of get on with the most and you enjoy the most, and those will be likely the things that you'll probably focus on for your projects as well. The assessment will be targeted to allow you to choose the things that you are most comfortable with. It will be that. It will be relatively short. It will 100% not be longer than 90 minutes. I would like to get it at 60 minutes, really. And it will be completely open book. You will be able to refer to any of your notes or any resources available online. The only thing you can't do, obviously, is plagiarize. So you can't copy off someone else, and that will include asking something like ChatGPT to write you the code. That would count as plagiarism as well. But anything else is absolutely fine to use. So yeah, we will share more details as it gets nearer the time, and we've actually written it. I'm still writing, as is Sammy, bits of the course. And I'm currently writing Git at the moment, which is fun. But once I've done that, I'm going to start on the assessment and put into action some of those things. So we will share more information once we have it, and it will be very clear. But it will be largely a few questions of the kind of question things like write this a short bit of code that does this, or here's a piece of code, adapt it so it does this. It's going to be that kind of thing. Very short little code things, not dissimilar to the kind of thing you were doing in the exercises in the Python training, where say write a piece of code in this cell that does that. It'll be that kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing to expect. I don't know if you want to add anything, Sammy, but yeah, don't panic. To quote Hitchhiker's Guide, would be a good one, I think, to emphasise.
Yeah, I think that I don't really have anything to add other than the whole, yeah, as Dan says, you don't have to be an expert in everything. There will be bits that you don't get, and we'll be more interested in kind of seeing that you've got the core understanding of how to write the code, the core concepts. I'm not planning to write a question asking for a detailed, write every one of these plots from today, and give me a full interpretation and explain log odds while you're at it. It won't be anything like that. It will be far more create and train a machine learning model and give us the accuracy, that sort of thing, would be my, as Dan says, we can't say for certain, but that kind of level of things, just showing that you are a safe and effective user of the techniques that we've talked about, that you understand some of the ways to use them well, I think would be my sense. So yeah. Um, Fantastic. I don't think, yep, so there is a description of that in the chat on the Central Plaza, and the assessment will be in October. Is that right, Dan? End of October, roughly?
Yeah, yes, I think. Sorry, I was hoping by the
Roughly then. You've got a while, and as you said, there will be more details shared in the lead up. But
twenty
I think
second,
with
22nd of October.
22nd. Fantastic. Right, so we've got 25 minutes left. I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, but as I say, you're very welcome to just continue with the neural network stuff from this morning if you'd rather not start something new so close to the end of the day. But there is a notebook available to try out some of these plots if you would like to. And I will share details of that in the class tannoy in just a moment. But anything else, Dan, before I send them off?
No, actually, the only other thing I was going to say, I will put it in Slack tomorrow when I send out the instructions for next week, which will be fairly straightforward. The session that we've got next week in the morning, which is on reinforcement learning, is going to be completely different to any session you've done so far, to the extent where a lot of it is going to be a very interactive whole group thing. And for reasons that will become clear, the slides will not be provided to you until over halfway through that session. But don't worry about that. It is not the kind of session where you're going to have to refer back to your slides or anything, not during the session anyway, until sort of towards the end, where you might then find that useful. But all will become clear. It's a very different kind of session. But I will be asking each group to nominate a spokesperson that will be their spokesperson for that session. And there's going to be lots of points up for grabs. It's going to be hopefully a very interactive, fun session. And I have to say, Sammy has created an amazing app for that session that is just joyous. And a wonderful upgrade on the rubbish that I came up with last year. So Sammy's done a fantastic job. So look forward to that. I'm really excited for next week's session. I think that should be great. And the synthetic data stuff sounds really complex. Probably the easiest thing that we do in the machine learning module. So don't worry about that either. And it's also really interesting. So.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, looking forward to next week. You will enjoy it. And we promise, I know we keep saying this, but we really do promise that next week is a much less intense session than this week. So we will send you off to your breakout rooms, but as I say, take your pick, either carry on with the stuff from this morning or to have a little bit of a play with some SHAP and other explainable AI plots. And we will see you all next week.